thoughts on what we can do outside this plan to make it even better is we do have to protect the core functions of government, that bullseye, in the archers, bullseye of public safety, first responders, it's things outside that. We need to start getting into, somebody told me about a program that Orlando is spending $400,000 to count the number of trees in the city limits. I mean, that should not be anything government even thinks about, really, much less appropriating money for. And that money needs to be in our pockets. And so there is a way for us to, for those local governments that are doing that kind of thing, certainly to reduce their costs, get back to what government's supposed to do, protect us, support the rule of law, keep us safe, and not, wasting money. So with that, I'd love to, if we can go around the room clockwise, counterclockwise, but get everybody to say, if you don't mind, say a few words, or we can do it since it's a larger group, just, it's easier just to raise your hand and introduce yourself. And I'd like to hear everybody's stories and what they're thinking about this topic or any other affordability topic. Because our Florida affordability plan is not just property taxes, but it's also insurance, what we do there, healthcare, education, and then how do we make sure we have a climate where we have good job growth and better jobs? What can we do to protect against further erosion, but also better opportunities? So with that, we'd like to get started.
My name's Paul. We talk about preserving the core functions of government and what the loss of property taxes might mean to funding those core functions. And yet at the same time, the commercial lobby has effectively eliminated sales tax on commercial rentals. So you still pay rentals in the state of Florida for residential rentals, short-term rentals, but you don't for commercial properties. Not to speak against the commercial properties, but if we're going to look out for the citizens of the state of Florida, it's the homeowners that we need to prioritize if we're going to provide some kind of a tax break. And the only reason it doesn't seem like it's happened is because they don't have the same pump that commercial rentals.
We eliminated it, so we're the only state in the country at the time that have a tax on commercial rents. So your small business and your lease, we pay money not only for rent, but you pay a sales tax on that rent. It's about $1.9 billion in our state budget. But the way we got around that, the way we fixed it is we did incorporate an online entities that are out of the state. They weren't paying any sales tax. We required them to pay what Florida-based business has to pay a brick and mortar company. They have to pay sales tax to like an Amazon or something like that to buy things from. Now they pay sales tax equal to Florida businesses, which is totally appropriate. And so that gave us the additional revenue to say, let's get rid of this commercial lease tax so that, our brick and mortar companies are not disadvantaged. And it goes in line very much in our motto is explore first, making sure we're taking care of Florida businesses, Florida workers, Florida families, in all aspects to protect them and stand for their freedom. Yes, ma'am.
Good morning. My name is Sara. I am a business owner in the city of Baltimore. Speaking about the taxes on the leases, for small business, that's a big drive. Eliminating those taxes so the small business can have that additional revenue to even expand, to even get more people, more employees, so I think that has, been a big impact.
My name is Elizabeth. Last member, I'm from Sara, and I want to make 2 points. One is my husband and I, we built at the time 36 years ago. It's been paid, but we continue paying a lot of taxes in Sarasota. The other issue that I come here before you is the issue of HOA. It's an epidemic in the state of Florida. The abuses are huge. The attorneys of HOAs are targeting seniors like myself and many others. That we have one 1-year-old veteran that they even put a man in my neighborhood allegations and abuse going on. And the problem that we have is that we are paying for the attorneys on the HOA board with our own money, but at the same time, the problem is that we need to get our own attorneys and pay the fees on ourselves. But then they're forcing seniors with release to sell or move out. Sometimes they're in their homes. And that is being an abuse in the state of Florida. And I hope that this is something that you are going to take advantage of, because we have millions of people like myself and everyone. I think here the majority of people, they have trouble with HOA enforcement, and our representative.
Let him finish.
Representative Flores, I've been working with him on the HOA reforms for HOA in the state of Florida. We have to stop. Thank you.
Representative Esposito, down the road, but she's in Lee County, I think, is also active in this. So when I was speaker, we had two different bills to start, getting our arms around the abuses. And my view on it is that an HOA, if you want to have an HOA, that's fine, but it should be a shield, not a sword, in order to protect the crop. Someone doesn't cut their crops for 6 months versus saying, well, you planted marigolds, but I like roses, so you're going to plant roses in your yard. And you do see that where people get on the board, they want to control everything. Selective enforcement. We like you, we don't like him, so we're going to go after him. And so we've started to put some of the same requirements around them as local governments, but some of them are worse than local governments in terms of their abuse. So we will continue to look at that. And again, and another idea that I looked at, that may have been when I was speaking, but I spoke with one about HOAs, is that we did this with unions where they have to recertify every 3 years, and they don't have a majority of people that want to have that union goes away. And the complaints we got, well, this isn't fair. I said, look, I have to run every 2 years in the house. If I don't do a good job, I go.
Yeah.
And so why not have it where HOAs have to recertify and gain the confidence of their community? If it's a good HOA and they're not abusive and they're doing a good job and people want it, they can keep it. And if it's something that is, a band of 5 or 6 people on a board that are harassing everybody, none of we're all so busy to try to figure out who's going to run for what thing. I don't know who's on my board. I saw the names once and a piece of paper on the deck for 5 seconds before I threw it away, and that's shame on me, I guess. But what do we do to make sure that there's some facts? If you have an election or a recertification process, guess what? Like every politician, you think about how can I make people happy and not make people unhappy.
The other issue is corruption. The larger HOAs are mandated to have an auditing, a serious auditing, forensic auditing. The small ones, they don't, and that's where the corruption is.
Yeah, of course, at the point of course, these bills was directed to that, sort of money was stolen.
Oh, yeah, that's
It's stolen. And there's not the same level of accountability and governance, accounting controls that would exist in a local government. It's still your money. So those kinds of things have to be brought into the process to make sure that it works for everybody.
Thank you.
Sure. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Penny Lee Todd, and I'm from Palm Harbor, Florida. And I was also concerned about the HOA and the condo associations, because it seems like, the association, the 5 board members are, we as homeowners, there's 160 homeowners where I live, we as homeowners are paying all the bills. And there seems to be a lot of corruption, and there's not a whole lot of backup of accountability with the DPPR. I mean, they're always behind the 8 ball. It's like I have a complaint about the fact that on our website, we don't have the proper documentation that we're supposed to have. And DPPR has done nothing about it but say, okay, well, we're still waiting for the legal counsel to take a look at it. So really, there's no recourse for these people to continue on the bad behavior of their spending.
Yeah.
And deception, it seems like legal money laundering.
Yeah.
I'm getting away with it.
DPR doesn't have the resources to do that.
And I hear they're understaffed.
Yeah, they're very understaffed, and every HOA, it's more, there's no way possible way they can.
Yeah.
So, And I know we're focusing on property taxes here, but I would just say, this is that I'm a former prosecutor, so we definitely want to have transparency, put it out corruption. I think that's my doge. In addition to
We need
saving.
to go, yeah,
Watching the
community.
corruption.
Yeah.
And I want to do it not just with local governments, but with the state government as well. I mean, we need to look under the hood and see whether there's problems at the state government anywhere, and not just the state ones, but somebody doing the wrong thing. And you see these stories where, whether it's a private business or government where people have been stealing money. And I was with a guy not long ago, and a very trusted guy who we put in charge of this company and have stole millions of dollars. And this happens, of course, when it's happening with taxpayer money, it's very serious. So we'll have a strong transparency agenda and accountability agenda for anyone that's not doing the right thing. But anybody on property taxes that has had an experience that.
Sure. My name is Jeff Warren. I am from Palm Harbor, Florida, as well, born in WN. And I think I have some good experience. I got one of the largest real estate teams in Florida. I also own a mortgage company, a property management company, and so I'm pretty involved in real estate, right? And what I can tell you is that what I guess a lot of folks don't realize is with property values skyrocketing after COVID, the amount of money coming into local municipalities has gone up over 100% in the last 5 years, which is obviously outpacing inflation by 3x. And it's just crazy to see the local, but look at Dunedin. I mean, anybody knows Dunedin, it's got a beautiful city hall now. I'm pretty sure the tiny town of Dunedin doesn't need that building, right?
Right.
So, just I don't know the level of oversight that the governor or the state gives the local municipalities, which is limited, but there's got to be some sort of check and balance applied. And then when you add in the hurricanes that we experienced last year, which in the real estate world, hurricanes cause a boom. Like hurricanes, it's massive gentrification at one time. If you're looking at a home, a ranch style home that is on the block of maybe worth $1 million, well, that home's torn down and be replaced by a $3 or $4 million home. So the property taxes that are going to be received from that one dwelling are going up 300, 400%. In fact, it could be 600% because the person's owned that home for 30 years with a Save Our Homes credit, and they were only really paying like it was a $500,000 home. And now the new buyer buying a $3 million home is going to get set at $3 million. So we're going to see a 600% increase in property taxes on all these new homes being built where there was a older ranch style, for instance. So we're just seeing massive increases of property taxes going into the local municipalities. And you're just finding ways to spend it. In my parents' neighborhood in Palm Harbor, Florida, they like redid all the sidewalks for no reason. But they have new sidewalks now. I don't know why they needed new sidewalks, but they haven't. So it's one of those things where unfortunately when government gets money, they spend money. So there's got to be some sort of rollback because the amount of money that the County is going to be taking probably 2 years from now, if you look at 27 in your future cast, is probably going to be up 150% in revenue from pre-COVID numbers.
Yeah, and I haven't mentioned yet, another important piece is to roll back, but you gotta have local governments, like state level, we have a 2/3 requirement. We created a new tax or fee or raised an existing tax or fee. We needed a super majority vote in the House and Senate to do that, which is good. We proposed that on law with the legislature. We put down out voters supported it, obviously. We did that for ourselves. The local government doesn't have that. So I want to make sure that it's not growing, local government is not growing faster than population growth and income. And that's really, to me, that's where they can make the argument, hey, we're doing growing, obviously that's that kind of man. But as you said, it's 2x, 3x times that is what's going up right now that and our income just simply can't keep up. So you've got on the backside and have a cap. And say, okay, you can't grow faster than population plus income in your area, which they're up here now. And then if you're going to try to do that for whatever reason, you have there's some extraordinary thing, or your kids are in portals at school and you want to do some kind of increase, there has to be a 2/3 vote, a supermajority vote like we have in the legislature. And I'd also like to see vote referendum from the voters on the next election to say, okay, we agree or disagree with that decision. So you have a backstop. and you can say, look, make the case, you know, need more schools or whatever the argument is, and I've seen that happen. We had a half-cent sales tax, not in my county, but for schools up in St. John's. The voters approved it, and it's very ruby red county, but they knew what it was for. It had a sunset at 5 years to build more schools, and it goes away, and people supported it. And so if you make the case, people will support it. But if it's for new sidewalks or, you know, a city hall the size of a, you know, the city of Miami or something, and then even or Palm Harbor, no, you don't need to be spending that money, and find a, you know, a cheaper location, a smaller location to accommodate that. And so I think you've got to have those caps and guardrails on the back end to make sure that it works. Otherwise, they're going to get you 10 different ways. This would be constitutional. But the rollback, again, make sure no tax increases next year. Everybody gets a tax decrease immediately while we wait on this longer term solution. But part of that long term solution, from my plan, will be to put those constitutional caps in place. The legislature did something like this in that rollback dimension, and they found ways around it. Constitution. So it's got to be in the Constitution, so they can't bust it unless you, the voter, say, okay, we get it, you know, we're parts away, we got to pay our costs, so we just don't have enough money. I don't know what that might be after the economic exception, where we have to do a temporary tax increase or something like that. But you guys control that, not you know, because the staff is, you could be in a Republican area and have good people there, but the staff is telling them, and they're putting these binders like, here, you need to raise taxes, your point. And they can't talk to each other before the meeting, so they get in there like, well, the staff doesn't have to raise taxes. I don't want to do it, I have to do it. So, and that's what's happening all across the state. And they're now looking for ways to cut and roll back. Some counties have done better than others, but most counties have not done what they should do in the way of keeping that in line. That's why we're here today.
Hi, I'm Debbie Faulkner. I'm an attorney in Baltimore, Florida, and I invited my best realtor team, which is Jeff, Janet, and Lisa at the end, my favorite realtors that are really involved in the industry for making this conversation. But one of the things I believe Representative Brian Chamberlain has presented rolled out a property tax relief system. But one of the things that he pointed out in the latest, I guess, rollout of that situation is that the millage rate and the valuation of the property both are dual levers for the municipalities to sort of decimate our equity in our homes, keep rising our costs. They always find ways to spend more money. And I think that one of the only ways that the state can put a control on the municipalities and the local jurisdictions and counties is by tying it to some sort of state revenue. Like if you are going to lose DOT funds, or you are going to, like, money is what talks, and the words will operate. Like we have to, I think the state control and having a constitutional amendment that ties into inflation and incomes, and I think real dollars that are able to be spent by people. Property tax relief for seniors is a huge issue. I see it as I'm in a state planning and small business attorney and for 17 years. And we need to do relief for especially low income people and seniors. We also, a lot of people are renting, and these are all passed along rents for the low income people among us, and they cannot keep up. I mean, my fair brother who's 20 years old is paying as much for both one bedroom apartment as I paid for my home. The things I entered the market at the right time, which you know, by doing a great job, you as Speaker and Governor DeSantis and others have implemented such great reform in the past 5 years. Our property tax values have skyrocketed. But that shouldn't be a painful event for the citizens and the people that we serve in our businesses and for real estate investors among us. I'm sure that they want many. I mean, and that's actually they're like basically kind of regret the fact that our property values have expanded. Now we owe so much more money. We should all be celebrating the fact that Florida has become a desired place for people to relocate. But in order to have that celebration sort of attitude, we have to not have our property taxes tied to our state's success. Really, what we're seeing now is I don't know. Do you have any ideas as to how the state can? I mean, we have there's really a purpose that affects their properties constantly. And the improvement or that is sort of hand in hand that they keep on getting more invested with more intention to put into the state law that raise our overall only people, but the cost of getting them. And so I'd like to know if there's any sort of proposals that, address both the property tax issue and, bringing it through. And
When I was speaking with Lee after, or we had, and we want to do, some of the most expensive automobile insurance in the country. And I'll give you an example. Come out of the Publix and the guy's needing a quick buy your car, so it's like, we got a package windshield. That's interesting. I didn't look back at my windshield. Excuse me.
No, straight right there, sweetie. You're fine.
Charge, here's the help. They lost me. And what they were doing is they would then with lawyers and try to go after, and overcharge. Insurance company would say no, they got one more dollar than the insurance company offered. They got all their fees like $75,000, and we were paying consequences of that. There were 80,000 of these windshield cases alone in the state of Florida prior to our reforms. And this year they're going to be down around 6,000 or 7,000, which are probably the legitimate ones, and where the insurance company's not doing the right thing. So when I was speaker, we focused on the consumer and said, okay, let's get rid of the garbage litigation over here. Let's hold insurers accountability over here with the insurer accountability bill and focus on what's best for consumers. And by doing that, we're seeing automobile rates have gone down in the state of Florida. And this last 12 months, they're expected to go down further. State Farm's announced another 10% increase on January 1. And that's real progress. And so that's the kind of leadership we need to bring down costs on property taxes and these other areas. It's something that I did as speaker. Homeowners are a little bit slower there, but we see a lot of new insurers coming into the market. And what I tell people in events is if your insurance homeowners is not going down, you really should shop it because there's many more insurers at the game now, and they will be for your business. And so I think in this upcoming year, you're going to start seeing some very significant, hopefully very significant increase in homeowners insurance as well. But it's a slow, it's like returning of Titanic. Unlike property taxes, where we can do this, what we're proposing today, and get relief immediately for people. Insurance is a multi-year effort. We need to continue to have some parking programs, which is saving people with $1,000 plus of the premiums, and also all of us. You understand? But if you want you're not going to be nice.
Yeah, Samantha said that the press conference stuff doesn't start till like 11:15. I said, okay, I'll be right back. I'm gonna put this in the car.
Okay.
Thank you, my love.
I'll be back. Be right back.
That was the roundtable portion of it. Period. The press conference starts around 11:15. A lot of the media is just all coming in there now. Mhm.
This election is filled with promises of tax cuts that will go nowhere. But don't let this excess noise blind you to what's really at stake, your retirement. As economic volatility continues to grow, few are talking about the consequence that could ripple through your retirement savings. Many wealthy investors have started preparing for the shockwave ahead. Have you? If you have $50,000 or more saved for retirement, click the link below or call 1-888-782-9064 and secure your free guide to gold IRAs from Augusta Precious Metals. Again, click the link below or call 1-888-782-9064.